I'm here with James Grine. He was originally identified just as James in the New York Times, and he is an abuse victim of ex-Cardinal Theodore McCarrick. This is a heroic moment for James to come out and to tell his story and also reveal a lot of things that we never knew about ex-Theodore Cardinal McCarrick. Really, the conversations that we're having as Catholics right now in America and globally are thanks to you who came out and told your story about years and years of abuse under Theodore McCarrick. You talked about your childhood being stolen from you. When did that happen?
It started when I was 11 years old. McCarrick came to the house. McCarrick was a very prominent part of my life, very prominent part of my whole family's life. He had been part of the family since 1950. So my Uncle Werner, my youngest uncle, went to school with him. My grandfather was from Saint-Gall, Switzerland. He was a person
I just want to pause here. Saint-Gallen.
Yeah, Saint-Gallen.
Important.
Very, very important. You know, Saint-Gallen is not a very large city. And my grandfather knew everybody. And so that he introduced McCarrick to everybody. And in fact, he went there on a regular basis, on a yearly basis, probably for 20 years. The door was open for him in Saint-Gallen, probably in, I will say, when he went for a language school in 1951, my aunt explained to me he came back from that trip and his whole life had changed completely. It seemed that he took that language school and ran it. It was in a monastery, and his whole life changed. And that's when he changed from trying to be a parish priest and just being a regular to becoming somebody who wanted to rise up into the Catholic Church and into the hierarchy. His whole life changed. And he used my grandfather to introduce him to Spellman and then Cook.
Now, this is really key that it begins in Saint-Gallen. And we know that there was a Saint-Gall Mafia.
Eigenlijk zeiden we van onszelf en van die groep de Mafia.
And this really goes into the 90s. But before that, there's this connection with McCarrick and Saint-Gall. Do you see that there's a organic connection between McCarrick's work in the 50s and then later on with the conspiracy, they say, to remove Benedict XVI?
Yes. I've known this and I've felt this for a long, long time.
At my parish in Texas, there's an elderly Swiss woman, and she says that when she was near Saint-Gallen, and as a younger woman, she remembers that there was rumors of the clergy being corrupted in Saint-Gallen, and that in the 80s and especially in the 90s, they brought Freemasons in to the college there where McCarrick was studying and basically de-Catholicized the Catholic University there.
Exactly. And that's where your mafia has started. I now believe that he was a predatory man for all his life. And maybe it started in 48 when he went there the first time. And then that's when he changed his mind from being a parish priest to trying to get into the hierarchy, because these people said that's the only way you can gain power.
What do you think about his connection with Cardinal Spellman? It's not really a hidden news that Spellman was homosexual and had maybe some predatory actions during his ministry as well.
Well, Spellman was very influential in his life. He's the one who really started to teach him how the whole system works in the United States. How do you get ahead? How do you push yourself to be in the front of the room? How do you get yourself to be to rise in the hierarchy? How do you do that? And the way you do that is to be charismatic and to catch the attention of everybody else, and then start to push yourself harder and harder. And it's all surrounded by that wonderful little word called money.
And he was a well known for his fundraising.
I watched that firsthand many, many times.
No, I'm curious. Like, you're traveling with them. You're back at the hotel room. What's the relationship here? I mean, he's a family friend. I mean, how this goes back to you're what, 11 years old?
So it started when I was 11, and it lasted for 18 years. Now, when when I become an adult and I become more of a stronger, bigger, stronger man than he is, he still has an incredible tie into me on my mind. He still has he had groomed me well enough to know that I needed to be with him as much as I possibly can. While he was not really sexually abusing me, he was making me sleep with him, because if I didn't sleep with him, he was going to tell on me, and he was going to ruin me completely. So he was, through coercion and through, blackmail, he just says, you have to be with me. And I'm the best thing you've ever had. Sorry, I just had to close my mind and get out of there. So he was very, very powerful. When I was 11, and through all my formidable years of just starting to grow up, he groomed me to a point where I needed to be with him. It was important for me to tell him everything, go to confession with him only, and to confide everything I had with him. And that way, I was very, very close. And I was shut off from everybody else. And so that, in essence, I lost faith in the church and gained only faith in him. And that's the way he preyed on me for many, many years. And so that his coercion on me was that if you don't do this, I will do that. And what that is anything from I will destroy you, I will make you wish, I'm just going to make you wish that you didn't say anything about me. Right. All the way up until the last time I saw him in 2012 at my mother's funeral. I told him that if he didn't come and say my mother's funeral mass, I was going to open my mouth. Well, he was under sanctions now that I know that. But he came, and he said to me at the end of the lunch, he goes, "Don't you know how powerful I am? I am the most powerful man in the United States. Nobody can touch me. And if you say anything at all, you will go down. You're going to be the bad guy. It's impossible for me to go down." So when I saw that article on June 20th, thanks be to God.
Now, that was another accuser that was in New York City and Manhattan.
Yes.
And it was I believe, in 1971, where he was fondled by McCarrick.
Correct.
So you read that, and you said, oh, there's a crack in the dam.
Yes.
Let's let the water flow.
I hit my knees immediately, and thank God. And finally, I was able to tell my brothers and sisters, who I had tried once before, and they didn't want to believe me. They didn't want to hear it. I don't blame them. In that I was finally going to be free.
And were you aware of the beach house that we've all heard about?
I was aware of it. I was never invited, thankfully.
Okay.
I was for seminarians, and that's his greatest deal, that he could pick and choose anybody he wanted to.
Did you get the impression that there were other priests, bishops, anyone in the hierarchy that was aware that he had this double life?
Every one of his secretaries had to know. in Metuchen, in Newark, even when he was in with Cook in New York. Had to know, and I know that Cardinal Worrell knows, and that was just the day that I met Worrell at the Hilton in Washington, D.C., right after he was made the Archbishop of Washington, D.C., was a very hard day for me to take. I am the very first kid that McCarrick baptized.
When he was a priest. You're his first baptism.
I was born 3 days before he was ordained a priest. And so it was mandatory that he baptized. And so I was his special boy. True, and I had to do everything he wanted me to do, because my father trusted him.